How to train your dog to work for both food and toys. Teaching a dog to enjoy working for both food and toys in a training session can enhance your training sessions in many ways. One benefit is adding variety and unpredictability to training sessions. Being unpredictable with what you reinforce a dog with can be just as powerful as being unpredictable as when you reinforce the dog. If you have a dog on a strict diet or a small dog that cannot eat very many treats, training with toys gives you the opportunity of working more with your dog. If you have a dog that only works for toys, teaching the dog to work for food can help the dog learn to work for you even when toys are obviously not present. You can also test your dog's arousal levels by offering the dog a treat, and if they won't eat the treat, you can tell your dog is too aroused. Getting started with a dog that only works for food. This is my first training session with my puppy after having him for a couple of days. He really likes food, but he won't work for a toy if food is present. What I'm doing here is trying to entice him to play with the object, and as soon as he does, I'm going to click and feed. For the purposes of the video, I'm staying in one place, but you can build interest with toys by moving around and having the dog chase you and grab a hold of the toy while you're running away from them. I use my voice to try and get the dog interested in the toy, but it's your choice whether you want to do that or not. Here you can see that after my puppy got the treat, he doesn't want to play with the toy anymore. He wants to figure out how to get the treat. But when he finds out that playing with the toy gets the treat, he's going to be a lot more interested in tugging on that toy. This game is based on the Premack principle. A lower probability behavior, the dog tugging on a toy when food is present, predicts a higher probability behavior, the dog eating a treat.
Boy.
Practice this game with different types of toys before you incorporate them into training sessions. Don't forget to reinforce the other good dogs. If your dog is totally uninterested in toys, you can use free shaping to build interest in the toy by throwing a toy and clicking the dog for looking at it. Then throw the toy again and click your dog for looking at it, taking a step towards it, touching it with his nose, and then picking it up. I have trained dogs to like toys by using a tissue or a piece of paper at first, as most dogs like biting at a tissue that is waved in front of them. Once your dog enjoys grabbing at tissues, you can progress to a cloth or a tug. Getting started with a dog that only works for toys.
Good boy, get it!
This is my puppy 5 months later when he really likes playing with tug toys. What I'm doing here is I'm clicking him for eating the treat, and the reward is to get to play with the toy. I like to use my voice as a secondary reinforcer during a routine. You can also use your voice in rally and other sports. So I say the word before the dog gets the toy, like good boy, bam, boom, or rrr. Sit in your living room and put a treat on the floor. Click your dog for eating the treat and present a toy from a hidden location and commence a game of tug or fetch. Then hide the toy again and present the food. If the dog refuses to eat the food and continues to look for the toy, sit down on the couch and read a book. Try putting the food down again, and if the dog eats it, click and present the toy. This game can be sped up sometimes if you put the treat into the dog's food bowl, or flick the food on the ground to make it more interesting. Using food and toys together in training sessions. First, you need to get the dog onto a variable ratio of reinforcement. Simply put, this just means that if you want to do an average of 30 tricks or behaviors before a reinforcement, you have to train your dog on an average. So perhaps they'd do 15 behaviors before a treat, or 25 behaviors before a treat, or 2 behaviors before a treat, or 35 before a treat. However, you would start out right at the beginning with 2 behaviors for a treat, 1 behavior for a treat, 5 behaviors for a treat. The dog never knows when his reinforcement is going to be happening. Using food and toys together in training sessions. Make sure to work on behaviors that have already been learned when mixing primary reinforcers, food, with secondary reinforcers, toys, during training at first, or the behaviors could fall apart. To begin this process, Click or say yes for the dog accepting the least desirable reinforcer and giving the dog the reinforcer he was hoping for. These are 4 ways to reinforce the dog after a behavior. Keep switching what you do randomly so the dog cannot predict what will come next. Reinforce the dog with a toy and then a treat. Reinforce the dog with a treat and then a toy. Reinforce the dog with just a toy. Reinforce the dog with just a treat. You can also add your voice and touch to these scenarios. Here you can see I'm working with Tug with both the food and the toy obviously visible. You can either choose to hide both the food and the toy as well when training. I'm going to ask Tug to do a couple of behaviors and then I'm going to reinforce him randomly with either food or the Tug or a combination of both.
Get. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. Good job.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Ready? Twirl. Swing. Yes. Good job. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, good boy. Get that thing, get that thing. Good boy, drop. Ready? Ready, steady. Jump through. Jump through. Jump through. And jump through. Yes, good boy. Get it. Oh, yeah. Ready? Jump through. Jump through. Jump through. Yes, good.
As you can see, my puppy moved faster the second time, anticipating the toy. It's a great idea to build reliability to a behavior by using treats to train it at first, and then using a toy in the training to build speed and enthusiasm. If your dog is having trouble working for both food and toys, start out with a continuous schedule, 1 behavior equals 1 reinforcer, and then move on to a variable ratio, a reinforcer on an average of 3 behaviors, etc., and move up from there. Remember to keep asking for more and not get trapped on the same average of reinforcement.